friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to this week's What's for Dinner. If you are new here, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. Today's What's for Dinner has some yummy meals for you. I do have a favorite of the week. I made this Tuscan chicken. It was absolutely so delicious. We both loved it so much. I always know something's like a super hit when my boyfriend's like, do not lose this. We need this regularly. So keep that in mind and let's just get started. So I had some leftover shredded chicken that I wanted to use up. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make some barbecue pizzas. So I added about a quarter cup of barbecue sauce to that chicken. You can add, however much or less that you want for that and just kind of mix it in. I got an idea from a Pinterest board. I was kind of like looking for something for a barbecue pizza. So I'm going to very loosely, just inspiration wise, follow it. But I will link it still in the description box down below. I decided to slice up some mushrooms because I had some bella mushrooms, and I sliced up some red onion. Now next time I do this with the onion, I will make it thicker because it is the first thing that kind of crisped up too much in the air fryer. And then I keep these naan breads in the freezer. I had a roasted garlic ones this time, and they come 2 in the pack. They have bigger packs, but I got this one on markdown, so I froze it. And I just defrosted it, and if you need to do that quickly, you can just literally warm it up for seconds in either the microwave or air fryer for a minute, and it'll defrost. And I'm putting a good couple tablespoons worth of barbecue sauce on the top of that as a sauce, anywhere from 2 to 3 tablespoons, but of course whatever you like will work. And then I'm adding some mozzarella cheese. This is to preference. I like a lot of cheese. In fact, I think it's really good with the barbecue sauce. So I put a good layer of that on there, and then I'm just dolloping my barbecue chicken all over the top of that. I'll go ahead and add in my mushrooms and my red onion. And I just want to quickly note that I was working with about a cup worth of shredded chicken, maybe a little bit more, and it did work to have 2 of these naan bread pizzas. I put this in my air fryer. I am using the air crisp function, and I put it at 360 degrees, and I'm gonna guess it took about 6 to 8 minutes worth of time. I added some cilantro on top just for looks, but if you can see, some of those thinner pieces of onion kind of crisped up a lot, and so I think I would make that a little thicker next time. But this was really, really good. We enjoyed this a lot. We normally do Supreme style pizzas. We like pepperoni and pineapple and mushroom, but it was a nice change up, and it was really, really good. So to start this off, I'm going to dice up my vegetables to have them ready while I cook this. So you're going to need about a cup's worth of yellow onion that's diced up, and then about 2 cups of bell peppers. I'm using red bell peppers. It's just my bell pepper of choice. I don't prefer green that much. So to my pan, I've added in a tablespoon of olive oil, and I have it over medium-high heat, and I'm going to add in my onion and let that saute a little bit, a couple minutes, and then I'll add in my bell peppers to that, and I will season those with some salt and pepper, and then I am going to continue to let those bell peppers soften. That's going to take a good 4 to 6 minutes, somewhere in there. I also added garlic powder, and the recipe that I'll have linked for you in the description box down below doesn't call for that, but I like that extra garlic flavor. And once those were done, I removed them from the pan to a plate and set it aside. And then to that same skillet, I'm adding a tablespoon of olive oil and a pound of ground beef. I kind of let that sit in big chunks at first so it can begin to brown. Then I break it up a little with my meat chopping tool and let it mostly cook through. Then once it's cooked through, add in a couple cloves worth of garlic, and then a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of cumin, and I did a dash of cayenne pepper. That's optional. That's going to depend how much extra heat you want. And then I mix that all together with my meat, and I continue to break that up. I like it nice and broken up because I just don't like meat in big chunks like that, but that's up to you how you like that. And apparently I didn't hit record for this, but to the ground turkey, once it was cooked, I added in 1 can of diced tomatoes, as well as about a good 3 tablespoons of minced parsley, maybe a little more because I had it. And I just mix that together, let that cook a minute or 2, and then I'm just serving this over some white rice, and you can add cheddar, that's optional. I think it really, really mattered. It tastes so good with it. I love cheddar cheese. So I put the layer of rice, then some cheese, and then that meat mixture on top to keep it to let it melt, and then I added a little bit of cheese on top just for looks. And this meal was so tasty. I would really love this as a meal prep meal, or in general. I mean, it was a really great skillet meal, but I think like if I were to meal prep, this would be something I would really enjoy like having frequently if I had to eat something on the regular. On this day, we had game day appetizers for dinner. I needed to make some game day ideas that were going to be part of a collaboration that I was going to participate in. And that video came out on Friday if you're interested to go back and check that out for what I made and for the full recipe on that. On this day, we had an Uber Eats code that was expiring, and it's for $20, so I figured, we have to use that. We have a fish taco place that's really local to us, and they have amazing Baja fish tacos and even, like, potato tacos, which are so good. So I thought, we haven't had it in a while, might as well get that. It never disappoints. It was so delicious. We were just going to eat out this night, but I thought, you know what, I better not disappoint you guys and make something at least. So I've made this before. It's just been way over a year since I've made it. So I thought I'll do it again for you guys. So I'm going to add a stick of butter to a pan and melt in some garlic with that, about maybe 4 or 5 cloves worth of garlic. I'm going to just let that garlic become fragrant for about a minute, and then we'll remove it off the heat. Next, I have 4 chicken breasts that I am seasoning with some salt and pepper. I'm using the Kinder's The Blend. It's got all that in it. And then a little bit of the Weber's garlic Parmesan. And I did season both sides of my chicken. And I've placed that into the bottom of a 9x13 baking dish. Then you're supposed to take 1 pound of baby potatoes. So I had a little bit of baby potatoes left, but not quite a pound's worth. So I just had some russets, and I peeled them, and I cut them into some, like maybe 1 inch, half inch to 1 inch sized potatoes, but I'll get into how that didn't necessarily work out for me in a bit. I am now taking that garlic butter mixture and spreading it all over. I am using this here to kind of like guide where the garlic's going, because I didn't want all the garlic to just pour out in one area. I want that all over my chicken. So I did that, and then I'm sprinkling on some of the crushed red, or the red Kinders. It's like the jalapeno red and garlic. You can also use red pepper flakes. That's what the recipe called for. And like I think a 1/4 teaspoon of that, and then 1 teaspoon of dried parsley. And I bake that in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. When I pulled those out, the potatoes were not as soft as I like them to be. I really like my potatoes to be like really melt in your mouth, and so I did remove them from the chicken pan and add them to their own pan, and then I poured all of the butter garlic that was with the chicken onto them so they could soak that up and help them get tender. And I did let those cook an additional, a few more minutes than the chicken did, like after it was done like melting the cheese. I didn't get that on camera, so this clip is just how they looked after they were already nicely cooked and had absorbed that garlic and butter. And now after the chicken had cooked, I'm adding some cheese on. It says a cup of mozzarella and a half a cup of Italian blend. I had some Italian blend and a mozzarella provolone blend, so I'm just adding what seems right for that all on top of my chicken. And I bake that another 5 minutes just to melt that cheese. And like I said, I'll let the potatoes cook for that 5 minutes plus an additional max 5 more minutes, and they were nice and just melt in your mouth soft. And I served that with some broccoli. I poured any remaining butter garlic on top of that broccoli. And I just really need to remember in the future to cook these potatoes either on their own. Just they needed to be nice and sitting in all that butter and garlic, and not like having the chicken take all the space. So if I just remember that in the future, it's really great, because this meal's really quick if you can just throw it all together, and it's delicious as well. And the reason I wasn't going to be cooking dinner this night originally was because we were going to Bullwinkle's at the end of the evening. They were having like a over 21 event for like adults, so we were going to go hang out with friends there, and we were going to try their food. So we just shared something since we had already eaten dinner. We shared some of the lemon pepper boneless wings and some of their loaded tater tots, and they were delicious. I'm starting this recipe off with 2 large chicken breasts that I cut in half to make 4 thinner sliced chicken breasts. I'm going to be seasoning them with some lemon pepper seasoning on both sides. Now, this one's the one I got from Dollar Tree. It's actually really tasty. And I also hit them with some of the blend, so I get some salt and pepper on them as well. And I'm going to put them in a pan over medium-high heat with some oil. Let them cook about 5-6 minutes on each side. And once those are done, just pull them off the pan and set them on a plate, set them aside. You can put them in your microwaves loosely, tent them with some foil, something like that. And then to that same pan, we're going to add in about a half a cup of chopped red onion, and then a little bit of garlic, maybe teaspoons worth of garlic or so, depending on your liking. And just stir that together, let that saute a bit. Now, my pan was getting a little too hot and I was afraid that was going to burn my onions and garlic, so I added in half a cup of water. I'm going to be making broth anyway, so I just made the other half of the broth to make the total 1 cup of liquid, and I used Better Than Bouillon to make that broth. And I add that in. That's going to slow down that cooking process of the onion and garlic to not burn. Then to that I'll add 1.5 cups of heavy cream and 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, and then I just stir that together. I have this on a lower heat. I lowered my heat a little bit to like medium low, and I'm just going to keep stirring. That's going to keep breaking down that cheese and make it a nice sauce. And then I got this McCormick seasoning. It's the Tuscan seasoning. Really hard to find, but I finally found it at a Walmart. I'm going to have to go stock up on some of these. But I did show you the back of the packet to show you what is in the ingredients as far as like what flavors, basil and such like that. So if you can't find it, maybe you could make your own seasoning blend. And while that was simmering, I cooked up some pasta. I'm using mini farfalle. You can do whatever you choose when it comes to pasta, or rice, or any side that you'd prefer. And then I'm going back to my sauce, and I'm adding in a half a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. This is an 8-ounce jar, so I just kind of figured I'm scooping out about half the jar here. But I'm using a fork to kind of like drain some of the garlic oil that they're in. I don't want too much of that to come into my sauce. I don't mind a little bit, but I don't want it to make my sauce like separate a lot by having a bunch of oil in there. And then I added in some spinach, a couple good handfuls worth to start off with, and I just stirred those in. Those are going to wilt down. And then I decided to add a little bit more because we just really love spinach over here, so a little more couldn't hurt, right? So once the spinach is all wilted down, I'm just taking my chicken and adding it back into the pan. All 4 of the pieces, and any juices that are remaining in the plate, I just also poured those back on top of the chicken. We'll take all the flavor we can get here. If you are interested, this is the salad kit that I used. It is just a Caesar salad kit. It's one of my favorites, and I served it alongside the Tuscan chicken, and that Tuscan chicken is on a bed of the bow tie pastas. This meal was seriously one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth. It was absolutely amazing. We both loved it so much. I always love when my boyfriend says like, don't lose this, we need this again, this is like needs to be a regular thing. It really helps me know like with how many different things I make for you guys, what he likes the most. It means that it's definitely a keeper, and I agree, it was amazing. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I hope you all are having a great day.